lost everything here.
Sally.
Right? So? Oh, I don't count.
Yep. Ready? I'd like to call this July the 7th meeting of the Kent County Commissioners to order. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Moment of silence or a moment of thankfulness tonight for the beautiful weather we had over July 4th, that people could enjoy their families, and also for the rain we had last night, because it had been getting dry here in Kent County, and we certainly needed that. Thank you. Operations, you need to dial 1-872-239-8359 and enter conference ID 384-665-488 pound. I do want to go. We have been holding these meetings virtually by teleconference and viewable on the county website. And it is our desire that everyone who wishes to comment be given a fair and uninterrupted opportunity to express their views to the county commissioners during this public comment in writing. The board president will open the meeting to public comments. Citizens are asked to state their name, address, and the topic of interest. Citizens are to ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. The board respects your desire and right to refrain from naming citizens and name-calling when offering any critique. The county staff will acknowledge each caller in the order they called in, announce the last 4 digits of the phone number that was used to call in, and will ask the caller to unmute their phone. We now have correspondence review. I think Sandra's going to...
Yes, thank you, Commissioner President. Sally Watson, Deputy Clerk, provided a license update that at the June 30th, 2020 Commissioners meeting, the Commissioners approved a close issue to the entity.
Thank you, Sandra. We now have some consent items. The regular session minutes from June 30th, the liquor minutes from June 30th, and the closed session. We now have the closed session report that was held on June the 30th. On June 30th, 2020, the Commissioners held a closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation in accordance with general provisions specific to individuals or confidential, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on pending or potential litigation. Reason for closing: matters related to individuals are confidential, and discuss pending or potential litigation regarding a specific relief fund. Shelley, were you going to update us on that?
So the first item on your agenda under the Coronavirus Relief Fund section is the spreadsheet that shows you where we are with the spending, and for $63,028 worth of items. Some of those are public health, which will be on the local health department side, and some of them are non-public health, which falls on the county side. So what is in front of you is a request for approval with a not-to-exceed amount of $63,000, and it will be approved on as each one is submitted. The local health department has approved those items on the public health side of this spreadsheet.
So we need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay. You have another?
Those were my two items under the section.
That was the two items, okay. Scott Boone.
Expansion. Per the precedent set in Kent County's letter of support for the Choptank Electric Broadband Legislative Initiative, we did not contemplate areas that would directly or indirectly overbuild any of your infrastructure investments, specifically the fiber project. A dollar spent in an area where we have already participated in construction is a dollar to avoid unnecessary overbuilding of sufficient technologies. This information will help us generate a more accurate map of unserved and underserved areas. The proposed project shared with you this evening covers an area that defines unserved. Why are we proposing CARES funds in Goltz? Our reading of the coming school year approaches. We contacted KCPS to map the areas of the county most challenging for student connectivity. We were told, based on student home connectivity data, that it was glaringly evident the Goltz area is very challenging for distance learning. KCPS Supervisor of Technology, Bill Poor, is on. Hey, Bill, can you unmute yourself?
Bill Poor?
It's not Bill Poor, is it? No, it's not Bill Poor. We'll give him another minute, but I have a statement if you can't connect.
Can the people on the line hear us?
No.
That's Susan Einstein.
Huh?
That's Susan Einstein.
She does.
Well, if he wants to jump in,
If she can hear us, okay.
Bill Poor, if you are on the line, can you unmute and or use your camera?
all right. Well, I have a statement if you'd like me to read it.
Yeah, I
okay.
guess. I mean, Bill doesn't seem to be here.
The KCPS supervisors and administrators team met to discuss students who lack access to technology. During the meeting, we reviewed data collected by the technology team as well as feedback that was provided to school system employees. There's a large number of students in the area who do not have access to the internet and lack the ability to utilize hotspots, etc. It's critical that we work to ensure all students have equal access to the internet, especially with the uncertainty of the fall 2020-2021 school year. Full board. I would also like to introduce Shelley Daniels, whose ship we received numerous requests for help, anecdotal evidence of what it is like for her neighbors to stay connected in the COVID era, and the safety and the health and safety concerns for those residing in the Goltz vicinity. She is happy to answer any questions you have for her. Your investment in the Bradford Johnson lateral has placed a shovel-ready starting point to the homes of roughly 22 students and dozens of essential workers. We are requesting approval for the project concept, a motion to approve fund allocation not to exceed $313,000, and signature authority for the county administrator once the contract is passed through legal review. Mrs. Daniels, Mr. Poor, and I are ready to answer your questions.
Challenged it?
No, not at all. We tried to stay within the guidelines we were given.
Okay.
About what we told Choptank about overbuilding, all that kind of stuff. So what we wanted to do was identify an area where it meets the unserved status, without a doubt. Okay, and with the backing of the school system, we didn't target this. We went out and said, where's the greatest area of need? So this is gives you an idea of what the build out would look like. It could be up to 60 homes passed.
See that, or?
That's copy for everybody.
Scott, this is one of the grants that we applied for.
This is the CARES one. Not from you directly.
Well,
So
why would we not be in favor of this?
Because I have to have your approval.
Okay. All right. It sounded like to me when you were given your reasoning for doing it and bringing the schools into it that maybe someone had challenged the idea that you were doing.
The record that it meets the criteria of the CARES Act so we can use the money.
it meets the criteria, there's no,
Criteria. Bill Poor from the school system has identified this area in particular as an area that desperately needs internet. This will pass by 20 approximately 22.
I'm a little bit lost, because there's no roads, no nothing. The yellow line is what we already have. Is that Bradford Johnson Road?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and it's going up there to where the, double tap.
Section right there by the railroads, yep.
So how much farther past there does King County go?
So our border, I think, in 3 different
And
locations.
to the right.
The gray line, right here. That's the
That's the
Delaware.
Delaware border, okay.
And so,
What's this box?
the boxes are just areas drawn to show coverage. So approximate coverage, like an entire farm there. So, up
You turn right, okay, and then that's all King County.
correct.
Where's that going? I get lost when I go to.
It basically covers every road. I mean, it covers almost every road in the Golds area. To the border.
But somewhere of these roads run.
That runs out of Millington, is that correct?
So,
Is that a Massey?
well, so you would have Sassafras Caldwell goes across.
Yeah, Sassafras Caldwell Road goes east-west.
Sassafras Caldwell Road is up, that's up north,
So you have Sassafras.
to the left here.
Correct, and it is in Kent County. Everything that's proposed is in Kent County,
Oh,
Maryland.
I'm not saying it isn't, I'm just trying to get my bearings of where we are.
It had a bigger map.
Is this road, when you turn left and you come back, is that,
And it's just laterals.
no, well, this is a blue-green.
Do you want me to step up there? I can mask up if you.
You can come up here.
This green line is a farm.
Well, that one's going to a farm, but this other road, I'm assuming is Sassafras Caldwell Road. But this would be Sassafras down,
Sassafras Caldwell would be going like this.
Okay.
Places up here.
Olin Davis's is up here.
Right.
All right, I need to go up there sometime. I mean, I'm not saying we're, I'm for it, but I'm just trying to get my bearings of
Understood.
where we are.
So,
Up there in some of those roads, like Maryland Line Road, that's where Cecil County starts.
so we ran out,
Little flags you've got, I mean, or pins, you got blue ones and red ones, they're,
The blue ones are the houses, and these dots are students.
you picked these colors?
Yeah, they only say green.
I didn't realize there's that many people lived up there.
So when we approved the run to gold, says we did it basically at first because we thought it would be a great place for economic development in one of the poorer parts of our county, and then now it looks like with the CARES
On as early into the school year as possible, and that is our goal.
Right.
This is shovel ready.
So they would have this done by school year start?
Goal is, now, I do want to explain that there is a railroad involved, and so that is a state crossing, so what we're looking at is, if we have to do a phase 1, phase 2, there may be to the west of the railroad would be more likely to be on more quickly than to the right of it, because obviously we could build out everything and stub it up right there by the railroad, so once the connection's made, they're online.
It takes time to get permits to go under the road.
Yes. We hope we can expedite it, given that this is a CARES project and we're trying to get students online.
Well, to comment on Bob's statement, though, these are households.
Their houses.
Because you're not, I'm sure there's some, but I think if you go back and look, a lot of this,
is in land preserve.
not all of it, but
I know there's a lot of wetlands up there.
we're allowing them to go in, and it's not that whole.
Received an email from Shelley Daniels this morning. I really think it's pertinent. She said, with satellite, as soon as there's a storm, we lose connectivity, and we have no cell service in the area. Landline often goes out when it rains, and our TV is satellite as well, so a little rain and snow when we are in the dark. Apparently, there was a tornado watch last night, and we were supposed to take cover. None of us were aware. We never received the notice. Had there been a tornado touchdown, we would be discussing a tragedy. This is a safety issue as well. So they are that
Oh, I agree with that, but you know what? We didn't have cell service either in the thunderstorm, so I don't know. It went out, and I found out there's a tornado warning after it all came back on. So, and I appreciate all that, but I don't know that.
so to sort of summarize this, there's some money that's been provided through the CARES Act.
Right. This is the area of the highest density.
Yes, okay.
Now, is this Shelley, is this the CARES money
This is the CRF money.
county has? Now,
Coronavirus relief fund.
if we do,
County section though, yeah.
now, if we do this, does that affect some other stuff that was,
And I have received a stack of emails. I've never seen a community this engaged trying to get online before, I mean, ever. It's been probably a dozen different people have emailed me.
Well, I think it's a great project. I think it's a good spot, and obviously you've done your homework, and if
The not to exceed, and if possible, delegation of approval authority when the contract has been reviewed by legal and found sufficient.
and this has to be done no later than December 31st.
December 30th, but the sooner we get this actual project deployed,
It's shovel ready, ready to go.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Down.
thank you.
Checks like that, please.
I already copied it. I already took a picture of it.
He's back. Who these students are.
I would like to see where the farms are reserved around that route. That'd be something. All those sides of Bradford Johnson.
I don't know that all of them are.
Yeah, but now that it's going to be in Goldton, it's going like a spider web.
Look, it's an area that the government's going to pay to have, and we wouldn't get it if we hadn't made the investment initially, and so.
People right across the Delaware line.
Maybe they want to come into King County.
They can put in for annexation.
Yeah. Dear Wendy Combe. Good evening.
Okay, I just have two items for you tonight. I think the financial statements were the first one in your packet. And these are through the first 3 quarters through the end of March. Revenues through the first 9 months of the year are favorable by $1.4 million. Most of that is in the income tax. If you remember, way back in November, we got a very large reconciling distribution from the previous year, and so that's really why the income tax is up. We did just get our May distribution, and we have
4, right?
May distribution was for the first quarter of 2020, payroll withholding and estimated payments, so there was no effect. Now we're going to get a distribution in June and July that'll be for the second quarter, and they're still saying that they don't think there'll be much effect there. They think it'll. So those revenues look pretty much the same as they had. On the expenditure side, we're running $1.4 million under budget, and we'll talk about those categories in a minute. And our overall picture, we're about $2.8 million better than budget after 9 months. And the property transfer taxes are trending down. They were rising last year, and then we've seen them slow down. And our property taxes, there's a small unfavorable variance, but we're really tracking very close to where we thought we'd be. So that's what makes up the $1.4 million favorable variance. You can see the departments listed there. Highways and streets is the largest, and that's mostly our mild winter and gasoline prices. Building maintenance, gasoline prices also. We also had $193,000 favorable variance in salaries and benefits. At the end of 9 months, we had $270,000 of a favorable variance in there, but we've spent significant monies out of there since then, so that favorable variance will be lessening. Any questions on the general fund or any of the variances?
On this property tax, which is unfavorable.
I mean, we are really right where we thought we'd be. That's about as close as we get. Yeah.
As of March 31st, it's basically first quarter.
Yes.
The first quarter this year was actually pre-COVID.
Yes.
For the most part.
Right. Yeah. Property tax, we're not sure if we're going to see a slowing down of, we're going to see them mostly in FY20, possibly 23. So, and later on in FY21.
So this next quarter from up till July 1st is the end of our fiscal year.
Yes.
And you just said that they're not expecting major dips in that at this point. And then how about the first quarter of our fiscal year?
Target. They expected that we would see it start in FY21 and really see more of it in FY '22 the last time.
Because we cut a lot during our budget session, and we were going to wait and see how it worked out, if it had anything back or. So, but we won't know that probably till the
2019, so yeah, it's going to be the back half of FY '21 when we really start to see it. Yeah, so it'll start July 1st, so I don't know that we'll see it in those first,
we'll see it until next year at this time.
a little, I mean, I would think again, we keep looking to the state, they've got a lot of people trying to project this and that are keeping current with it, so I can keep you updated as I get new information. Right now, everybody's still.
Well, I watched the state on TV the other night. They weren't very happy.
No. Yeah, they still have a lot to cut.
They had like another 200 million yet they were looking to cut.
I think they said 41 million was what was on the table for the counties as reductions, but they didn't, I'm not quite sure which areas it was. So, we'll keep seeing happens. Okay, after the general fund, and that's mostly because the expenses are running under budget, and most of that has to do with chemicals and electric costs. Our revenues are pretty much where we thought they'd be. So our transfer is slightly less because the next set of statements you should have is the water wastewater capital projects. You can see we had a budget of $623,000, and through the first 9 months we spent about $425,000, so we still have just under $200,000 to spend. You can see the projects. We had a $6.2 million budget. And at the end of 9 months, we just spent a little over $1.2 million. And again, you can see the projects there.
I'm just looking at all the capital projects that we still have waiting in the wings.
The Nicholson is the largest one on there, and that project is going to get pushed out into FY '21, so that $2 million project won't be happening in this fiscal year.
Well, now, I was looking at this, the maintenance facility. So you think there was still another 100,000
Yeah.
that would be spent there?
Well, since March, the county was in there, they put the parking lot in, they bought the stone.
Yeah, it was not complete at the end of March.
So they have spent more of that money down. I don't know if they spent the whole.
A little bit. It's always hard when we cross the fiscal year.
I will say that's a very nice building and facility they've got there now. It'll last them a long time. They'll be around a lot longer than we will. Probably. Nice facility.
Even if we did want some trees.
Okay, and the second issue that I had for you this evening was the 2020 tax sale. So we had tentatively picked a date of August 13th. We said we'd see what the state of emergency was like on July 1st and kind of make a decision still in effect. It would be my recommendation that we just cancel it for this year.
What happens to the houses that were going to go up for auction if we cancel it for another year? To give the people an opportunity to catch up on their taxes for another year?
We encourage everybody who calls and asks about tax sale and that they can make any kind of payment plan that they would like. We have collected, let's see.
We say somebody owes taxes on a house and we postpone it for another year, they still be just living in the house.
Well, the tax sale doesn't, it's really a lien.
It doesn't wipe out the debt. The debt's still there, and the interest continues to accumulate, and it doesn't wipe out the debt. What happens is if the taxpayer pays nothing, the debt grows, so it makes it more difficult for them to get caught up on their taxes, and it increases the likelihood that the property would go to tax sale.
And then the following year, if it does go to tax sale, the person who's buying the property inherited additional cost.
Yeah, well, what happens is if you're going on a 3-year cycle rather than a 2-year cycle, the properties are going to be 3 years in arrears, not 2 years in arrears, because the ones that get caught up aren't going to go to tax sale, which means assuming there's not much competition that drives the price up, if people are just bidding the minimum, the 6-month period of time where the homeowner or the property owner could redeem and get it back. Then there's a window between 6 months and 18 months where the tax sale purchaser can take action to foreclose the right of redemption and to take title of the property.
March, to accelerate it so that it doesn't run, but right now we're not charging interest, so interest isn't running.
Should we start the interest low?
We can't. I think we have to wait till the state of emergency is over, don't we, Pat?
We have to what?
Wasn't there
That was the reason.
what my understanding is we were required to do that, but as soon as that state of emergency is over, then the interest starts accruing. So if you don't pay your taxes and you were 1 year behind, now you're 2 years behind, you got to pay interest on 2 years worth of taxes rather than.
Now wait a minute, if we're not charging interest, emergency's lifted,
Over.
and they come in and paid your taxes that day.
We're supposed to give them 30 days too after that's lifted.
Okay, so if you came in the 30 days, you wouldn't pay any interest.
Right.
So what's going to keep a person when and I'm assuming the state of emergency's on, our taxes and get interest, and then pay them when the state of emergency's lifted?
I think there's taxpayer behavior. There's always
Their behavior, what's that mean?
Have mortgages.
behavior in the county. There's usually a group of people, and just going on behavior in the past that will pay the bill as soon as they get it, because that's just their nature, and that's what they. If there's anything we can do about that, if the
There's also people that have mortgages. A lot of times the lender requires you pay 1/12 of your estimated property taxes each month, and then the lender pays it. So there's an issue there if the lender, where the property owner is paying each month 1/12 of their annual taxes with their mortgage payment. I think the lenders are going to pay those. With respect to taxpayer behavior, here's something to consider. I know there's at least one other county in the state that offers a discount. It's not much, but it's an incentive to pay your taxes.
Well, a lot of places do that. I mean,
I think we're one of the few that doesn't. And honestly, it's
I own property in another county. That's what I do. I pay it in July to get the discount.
But we've always had a significant, and we may want to consider it, but the interest rates that people are earning are at an all-time low too. So all things being equal, if interest rates were higher, you might see more people sit on it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
And it's your decision as to when we emergency, but it's also your decision.
Yeah, we decided to postpone it, the tax sale. And we've also decided that we would say, whenever it's lifted, we're going to give them 30 days after that to comply, and then before any penalty starts or anything. So
If you change that, don't make it effective immediately. Give some time for the taxpayers, because people may be relying on what was announced earlier. So my suggestion would be, if you want to do that, don't say we're lifting it today, so you have to do within 30 days. I would
make it the 30th.
September 30th.
And then what we already do
We'll still be doing.
would still be doing. If you pay them September the 2nd or October the 1st, you're going to pay.
We're not suspending the taxes, we're suspending the interest.
No,
Okay,
right.
but what happens is, the tax bill starting October 1st, we start charging interest, and they put in the tax bill the schedule as each month it goes higher. Right now, for people that didn't pay last year's taxes, we stopped charging interest when, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, but when we did the state of emergency and taxes, if they don't pay the current taxes by September 30th, then they'll start getting interest on the current taxes. The people that aren't current, not only are they going to have, if they don't pay by September 30th, not only are they going to have interest on the current year's taxes, we're going to put interest on
if we suspended them March 1st, I don't remember what the date was. We're not going to charge them interest from March 1st to
October
September
1st.
30th.
So they would pay whatever interest was due prior to March 1st.
Right.
And there'd be a moratorium where it wouldn't click from March 1st to September 30th. Then starting October 30th, we start adding interest again.
Interesting.
Clock starts again. Question is, do we leave it, do we lift it at 6 months? Do we let it go 3 more months to like January 1st where we revisit it? I mean, I don't think we have to set a date for the tax sale if we're still in a state of emergency. We could like,
I think-
let off and revisit it in January, but we should probably say whether we should suspend the interest at.
You do need to get a tax sale in March. We should probably make that decision by the end of this year if we're going to do it in March.
Right. Well, I mean, I think the decision we're trying to decide what to do here now is whether, how long we're going to,
13th. So the immediate decision would be whether or not you cancel that tax sale, and staff is recommending we do that because of the current situation. So that would be the immediate vote. Then you want to consider, you don't have to vote on this tonight, but it's something to consider when, and my suggestion would be if you make that decision prior to December 31st, you'll be fine.
well, that one I think can wait.
Yes.
The other two,
Well, the second one, isn't it already determined that we're gonna wait till the emergency is lifted and give?
correct?
Well,
I thought it was just an overarching on
Right.
everything. I don't think that we thought about that we'd still be in this situation.
It's going to go on as long as
Right.
it has here.
I think our expectation was we got to the summer and we'd just be back to business as usual. I think that's what the expectation was in March. I know I couldn't have imagined.
I guess I'd like to recommend that we cancel the 2020 tax sale. Because we're still under the state of emergency, because the building is still closed to the public. It would be difficult administratively to do that. So I guess I'm looking for a motion to.
I'll make a motion to cancel the 2020 tax sale.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
You had taken an action that it would be lifted 30 days after the state of emergency was lifted. So,
So we either have to stay with that or,
and I mean, I don't know that you need to decide right now either, if you want to think about it for a while.
Need to give the people time. But, you know, right now, everyone's probably,
Paying because they know that there isn't going to be interest, there's a problem, because we will need that cash.
Yeah, and if you're looking at that September date, you probably want to make that decision this month if you're going to set a date certain when you stop the interest moratorium. I wouldn't make that decision any later than the end of this month.
they're due by September 30th.
No date certain because of the state of emergency in the earlier vote.
the tightwads aren't going to pay them.
So just mechanically, October 1st would probably be better than September 30th, just because of the way our system works.
Right. Interest would start October 1st.
Would start October 1st.
Yeah.
If you wanted to coincide with the deadline for the new tax bills, otherwise there is no incentive to pay.
And it'd be easier,
Would start with, just like it would normally start if, we don't, sometime in October, I mean, first.
October 1st it would
October
start.
1st.
That really just resets it so that with the new tax bills, they would be like they were last year.
Everybody's used to that date. Everybody, that's,
So you're going to have a bunch of properties out there where you have prior year's taxes and haven't been paid, so there's been no interest clicking since March. You want to make sure your motion is not just for the current tax year, but it's for the properties in arrears too, that you're going to start charging interest again effective October.
the other, we haven't voted on it yet, Pat.
We're making a note.
That's on all accounts.
Any other question? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Okay, and then I can come back towards the end of the year. I think we had very few bidders last year at our tax sale, and we were actually toying with the idea of maybe accelerating it anyway, because it seems like there's a cluster of counties that have them in that May timeframe, and honestly, a lot of the same people are involved in buying properties from multiple counties. So we thought that maybe if we moved it up a little, that we might get a
So,
pool of buyers.
so we can make a note to revisit that in December.
Yeah, we'll bring it back in front of you.
Probably in December for establishing a date for the tax sale.
for the tax sale. Yeah, good. I'm good with that.
evening.
For you tonight is the Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board appointments. You have some information in your packet. Each county that has productive agricultural land is required to appoint an Agricultural Preservation Advisory Board under the farming. The duties of the board is to advise the governing body with respect to the establishment of agricultural districts, which we just recently went through and approved, and also the approval of purchases by easement by the foundation, the state foundation in the county. They also assist you in reviewing the status of agricultural districts and land under easement for you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Staff would recommend.
I was just curious, what's the list, what's the significance of the roster there for the original appointments?
It's staggering, and I just to give background, it's the composition of the board and sort of how it was set up has changed over time.
Okay.
There's background information for you all.
Well, I'll make a motion to appoint the first two terms for their expired July 31st, 2019. Unless you want to break those apart, Ronnie.
No, I'm whatever you want to do. I'm just, when I look at this roster, there's two on here that don't want to be reappointed, right?
Yes, sir.
We have a name here for
No, I know that.
Well, I have another person that's willing to serve on it, so we'll definitely be able to get both of those. So I guess it really doesn't make a difference.
This one roster with these people in blue, they're the ones that are not going to, do not want to be reappointed.
Yes, sir.
And we don't have any. The three on here they're staying.
If reappointments are made, yes, there is one.
Staying.
Two of them does not need reappointment.
Other one, and then maybe Tom might have a fifth one. Okay.
So, 7/31/24, considering they've already served 1 year of the new term. And can we stagger these?
You're not supposed to, because the code, when the code intends to have staggered terms, somebody's appointed for 1 year, somebody's appointed for 2 years, somebody's appointed for 3 years, and then when the 1 year term comes up, they appoint for 3 years, and when the 2 year term comes up, they appoint for 3 years, so they're staggered. This, just because of the way the board has evolved over the years, and then I think some of the reappointment times have been missed, but we can't intentionally stagger the terms. I think we can deal with what we have, but we can't appoint somebody to a 2 year term rather than a 3 year term in an effort to stagger, because the state code doesn't provide for that.
But this does, effectively, this gets us to
Some research. Bill did some research on that, and I think the statute has changed over the years on that. But I think what we do is when a term comes up, we appoint for the full 3, or was it 5 year term? 5 year term, and it does kind of have the effect of being staggered.
Staggering of boards is to provide for continuity. It's also very difficult to find potentially 5 new people in one board. So I don't think that the sort of accidental staggering is not without benefit.
So, essentially, are we,
We're to pass.
and then we, as a new term for Tyler Gale,
Yes, sir.
and then next month or whenever, we're going to vote on this other person, which would essentially stagger them by 1 month or 2 months, correct?
Policy, whether they should be staggered or not. My comments are just based on the statutory interpretation.
Well, I think at one time, it's easier, there was more farmers, there was more people to draw from to put on these boards. Or, everyone is a motion to.
There you have it.
We have a motion?
Second.
I'll second it.
What was the motion?
To approve all 3.
Two reappointments and 1 new appointment.
3 appointments and 1 new appointment.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you, sir.
And I will get you want me to send that to you, call you with it, or call Rob, or?
Either one of us can assist, and
I
usually follow up with talk about what the duties are so applicants are aware, and also allows them to express, their reason for being interested, etc. Ask for a resume. There's a process for that, and you have that information when people come before you.
It just, you make them have to be grilled, it might.
It's usually pleasant.
And I know it is, but I'm just saying it's okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, we now have and they hear us, or
Carla is.
oh, Carla's here. I'm sorry.
Marcella is on Microsoft Teams.
I can. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
I guess I'll start. We're just here to do a little cheerleading for the census. The official census day was April 1st, and we were aware of the census. We provided you with some of that information. Just to let you know, I guess as of actually June 29th, 57% of the households in Kent County have responded. That is still a little under where our self-response rate was 10 years ago. And in terms of ranking, and they've had over 77% of their households have self-responded. So I don't know if Doncella would like to go into more. She's been much more involved with the activities that we've been doing to get the word out, try to encourage people to complete their census. And I don't know if she'd like to add.
Pandemic struck, we still were able to have the food items placed in census bags, and materials still went out with the grab-and-go lunches, and also in the senior purchases there. Since, I guess, and as Carla stated, since about July, Latoya, our census engagement coordinator, has been able to be at different places, able to have people complete their census on site. The business owners have been very receptive. They didn't want a fee. They were happy to have people come into their establishments and things like that. She's also done several raffles that are constantly ongoing for to get the community to continue to complete the census.
Unlike number of Hispanics or
no, not at this point.
We really don't.
Say not at this moment. No.
We've got it. The data can be broken down in terms of response rates by census tract. I can tell you that Chestertown has the highest response rate. We really just kind of want to encourage people, everyone, to fill out their census form. The data is confident, safe when you do it. You can do it by mail, you can do it online, and call the Census Bureau and complete it that way. I think this pandemic has shown how important it is. Census vaccines get distributed statewide, so they base it on your population. If we miss people, then they're going to allocate fewer doses to us. It's so important that we make sure everyone gets counted. Trying to get out in the community to make that happen with various events. Again, we felt that this was a good way to bring you guys up to date and to get the word out again.
Terrible year to be trying to get people to do something. Get the word out, because just like you said, you like go to some events. There's no events, so.
Yes. Although I will say, if people do their self-respond, then nobody's going to come knock on their door.
Yeah.
Census is still planning to send out enumerators in the fall. I think they are starting the training for that in August, and so they will go to addresses for people who haven't responded. If you don't want somebody coming to knock on your door, get your census form out.
Oh, shucks, I don't know what it's called. The Mexican store up here, the grocery store. I mean, do you follow up there or anything? I mean,
I'm not sure that we have reached out to them, but we certainly will. I know Doncella and Rosie had an intern who was bilingual. Excellent idea. We'll make sure that happens.
if those people are just working here, is this considered their residence? I mean, you understand what I'm asking?
Yes, if they were living, technically, if whoever was living here on April 1st, the Census Bureau is working to make sure that those college students get counted where they're in school, not where they may have been on April 1st of this year.
And the reason for that one in particular is because year over year, a same number of students supposedly will be on that campus, regardless if it's
here for several months and they're working here, then they should be counted in Kent County.
Well, I'm just, I'm thinking of the Hispanics. A lot of them are scared anyway. You go to their door, I don't think they're going to come to the door, but, they're here.
Other staff with Roseanne Doncello, we were working to reach out to the Hispanic community to make contact with sort of the leaders in their community to convince to participate.
Okay.
And we currently have 2 bilingual census ambassadors.
I can't even talk to them, so.
So we are definitely.
Please don't drive up in a state car or anything with. I need them to locales.
I think that if you call online and if it's available.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, a lot of them I don't think are going to do that, but they're just trying to fly under the radar and do their job, and
we're out there trying to get them counted.
Yeah. Okay.
Everyone counted, not just specific.
Because they're going to divide this money up somewhere.
Right.
If we have less numbers, we're going to get less of it. So, okay.
That's it.
All righty. Thank you for everything all of you are doing, and hopefully next time when we talk to you, it'll be. Is she out there, or is she?
I think she's out there. I saw her.
Yeah. We're okay if you're okay.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to talk with.
Yes, it is.
Just be heard.
Yeah. Well, good evening, and thank you for having us, and I say us because the entire tourism board is but keep them on the screen, and Greg Waddell is our chairperson, so that's how the 2 of us, there were 2 of us allowed, so it's me and Greg. And what we would like to do is just introduce.
So are your other board, you introduce the other
we
board?
Are
Okay.
we're going to.
Great.
So we're going to start with Sandy Scott, and Sandy is the vice chair of the board. Sandy, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes, I'm here.
So neither one of these are.
There she is. And Sandy, you're the first person talking, so we just need all the hats you wear, just let the commission business you're with, you own, and all the other hats that you wear.
Okay. Sandy Scott, coach a store on Sharp Street in Rock Hall, and we're open year round. I am also treasurer of the Main Street Rock Hall, which is, I guess, about 2 years old, I guess, and association, and also when we have them on the Pirates and Wenches Committee, but of course we canceled our event this year. So, I believe that's all my hats right now.
All right. Thank you, Sandy.
Here I am. Hi, everyone. So I have been on the tourism board for several terms, on and off. Happy to do that. And I am, my husband and I run Blue Crab Chesapeake Charter, and I am the president of the Greater Rock Hall Business Association, as well as the treasurer of the Kent County Learning Center. And I think that's about it, actually, for now. So.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dolores Jones, and I serve as the general manager of the Holiday Inn Express in Chestertown. And that's been keeping me pretty busy for the last few years. So that's my background. I've got a long history in hospitality.
Laura's accomplishments. And Casey Carroll.
Hi there.
There she is.
I'm Casey Carroll, and I'm the general manager of Osprey Point and Gratitude Marine in Rock Hall, Maryland. I also handle all the marketing and advertising as well. So that is my full-time job.
All right. Thank you, Casey. Chicky, are you there?
Hello. Oh, perfect. Hi, I'm Prakash Chicky Sejwani. I'm a managing partner in a little business out in Kennedyville, Maryland called Molly's. We have 2 different entities there and 2 different businesses there. We're just trying to do our part to keep tourism going in King County.
Hey, Bernadette.
Hi, Ingrid.
Not able to get the video up and running this afternoon.
Okay, we can hear you very clearly.
All right then. Well, good evening, folks, and I've been serving on the tourism board for just over 2 years, and I'm also an active member of the Downtown Chestertown Association. And that about does it for me.
Very good. And then I'm going to introduce Greg Waddell again and turn the.
I owned Waddell Creative, where we like to say is we bring brands and lifestyles together. So we do marketing, pretty much everything from print, digital, and strategy. I've been self-employed there for 10 years, and we are in 49 stores now from coast to coast. Several here on the Eastern Shore, and of course elsewhere in the region, but literally from California to Portland, Hudson Valley. So that's pretty much.
If I can interject, that's wonderful handle.
Well, thank you. But it's a lot. So marketing's in my blood. I've done it. I've been marketing really for the last 18, 19 years now. I guess, if I think back to where I've been. So I've seen, really seen it all. The strategy is really where I like to. That's the fun part for me. It's like, how do we do it? What's our mission? How do we execute it? That's what I like doing the most. So we're here today to respond to your request to review the ad plan for tourism. I just turned something around for you in 2 weeks to say, okay, we checked the box. Let's really give it some thorough thought. So what we're hoping, what I know we can do is to be able to give you our a report, if you will, by the beginning of November. The other thing we'd like to ask of you is to, between now and then, unfreeze the advertising budget to allow that to continue. Stopping advertising right now is, I wouldn't advise that. It's, although nobody is traveling here, we hope they're not, keeping the virus is the main reason, it's still important to stay in people's head. Remind people that we're here. If we just go dark, think 7 times before they'll make a purchase. Whether it's a print ad, a digital ad, a radio spot, a flyer in a grocery store, it takes 7 times before they make a purchase. I don't have the data, but I would suspect that it's even longer for tourism. It's a longer run. It's an outlier. So continuing to advertise right now about, and it's not come here now, the messaging should change, of course. It's, speaking off the top of my head, it could be something like, so circle back and say, think it's a good idea to continue to advertise between now and November. And then I propose we would show you in November is like, okay, here's what we propose for the rest of the year, your fiscal year, really, ending July 1st, right? And so that would be what we would we would show you what we would recommend in the beginning of November, and then how that plan would get executed. So what we've been doing it's been working. Could it be improved? Well, sure, everything can be improved. So that's why I'm asking for a little bit of time to really give it a good look. People on our board who have so much experience, local experience and national experience, that I trust that they can give really good advice to the county on how to bring more people here to spend more money.
And our goal wasn't to decrease our tourism budget. Our goal was to increase our visibility and to maximize things more. We don't want it to go away. We want to make it better.
Right.
When you and I had lunch a couple weeks ago, like for one, we talked about, you said you didn't like the 79 ads and 41 advertising vehicles. We talked about hashtags. I'm not an expert on hashtags, but I know that there's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they all use different kind of hashtags. And like you put something on your Facebook page, and then you put hashtag, tag,
hashtags that are available to you. And the thinking on that has been to use all 30 of those. They're giving them to you, you should use them. And I just read a study over the weekend, in fact, that says, yeah, you could max it out. Yeah, and I can get into, I'd be happy to do that.
Make it simple for us.
Oh, sure, yeah, of course. So
I have no idea. I hear about them, but I have no idea how they work either. So
everybody in the room will be an expert on hashtags. Well, at least you'll know about them. So, okay, so I'm going to post a picture at Turner's Creek. Gorgeous shot, it just makes you want to be there. You have an opportunity to put a caption there, like describing the scene. And then underneath that, you can put what are called hashtags. That little number symbol, and there's a word right after it. It's a descriptor. So what happens is, if over here, Chicky is also posting a picture recently of his day on the water with his wife and kids kayaking. And he posts a picture of him and his wife out. He uses the hashtag kayak life, like that post that Chicky put up. So what Instagram does, and with their magical algorithms, is that they say, oh, Bernadette likes that picture with Chicky and his family on a kayak and likes that hashtag, or that hashtag of kayak life is associated hashtagged kayak life. This is an oversimplification. This is really how it works. So what happens is they'll serve up that post into Bernadette's feed in her Discover area on Instagram. Says, well, if you like this picture of a kayak, you might also like that one. So what you can do is really pull more people in to see your post because they've liked something else somewhere else within Instagram. It's pretty clever. It's a science/art to it. It's based in science, but it's a really common art.
I'm certainly not an authority of it, but it brings back memories to me. I got ready to buy a little Buick convertible for my wife a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago. And I wanted to make sure I knew what this Buick convertible looked like, so I just punched in Buick convertible. That Ronnie Fithian was interested in one, and for about the next month, I probably couldn't go on. My computer was eat up with emails from companies all over within a certain distance of where I live that sold these.
That's a similar
a clothing item off of Facebook, which I'll never do again.
Right.
But
so their marketing didn't work.
And on the ads on Facebook, you would have thought I was in a clothing business or something. I mean, people were sending all kind of items and
Showing up in your Facebook feed, in feeds of prospective visitors.
And I think that was really the message that we were getting from some of the board members, and then some of our ideas was not so much the money. It's just, are we keeping up with the time? Is there some better way and read magazines anymore? I don't know, but I have a tendency to believe that technology is kind of where a lot of things are going. And
it is. It is heading that way. What's also true is that people still read retirement, and those people still read magazines and newspapers. One argument I would make towards especially magazine advertisement is that a magazine ad is a printed piece of paper and it hangs around. A social media ad, a second or two, by a lot of people, and it's really cheap, yes. It's a lot cheaper than a print ad. But, the data shows that print advertising does work, and it's still working, and also for a demographic, people will age out, and people who are young now will age into that demographic, and they're going to be more comfortable with social media, digital marketing, okay, and getting all their information through digital. So my hunch is we would make a recommendation that we would ease into, well, what I'm here to say today is to ask for some real time to look at the plan that we currently are working with, and can we shuffle some things around to be more effective?
See, when I go to a doctor's office, I don't care what age you are, you have. That's how I'm saying when I go out. And then when I go to, like, I know a lot of people in Rock Hall that have bought second homes there, and they're basically the old elderly population, and I ask them why here. They don't want to vote anymore, so they bought a place in Rock Hall.
Yeah.
Tom, you go on your phone?
Yeah.
I think so. Tom, I will sit here and say, yeah, Tom's a magazine reader. He reads mostly. Yep. Stated that up here.
Yeah.
Ronnie, on the other hand, he said he was Googling for his wife.
I guess the thing, it went a lot of different places. There was a lot of people knew that I was searching for this.
It cost you in other ways.
Then you were harassed.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to be harassed.
But if you were trying to reverse it and get your message of Kent County, we're trying to get our message out, and I'll tell you, I know how. I think I do know how valuable tourism is to Kent County. I'm maybe living down where I see boating industry, the bed and breakfast. I mean, all that stuff. It's probably the biggest industry, and I think it's really important to hear from all of you that on this board that we're all in sync, that this is the direction we want to go, and that everybody's satisfied with the direction. Bernadette does a great job, but we're here to serve all the right direction that we're all satisfied with.
Right.
And I think it's good that you're willing to take 2 or 3 or 4 months and plan some strategy to make this thing work that the entire board approves and agrees with.
That's right. Yeah.
And if we fail together. But if we don't get it right, then we do it together.
Is that when my wife and I made the decision to move to Kent County, we wanted to move to a place where we can make a contribution. My wife's on the faculty of the college, and I like really appreciate the opportunity to be able to serve the county. So if I can bring my knowledge in to help, a lot of experience. I know that everybody on the board really wants to be a success, the county to be a success. So if we could have some time to be able to get back to you, and then also, allow the advertising budget to continue during our commitments that we need to make right now going into the fall to advertise for the fall. So I don't know what they are. I don't have them in front of me, but I know that plan could probably be made available to you guys after tomorrow or the next day.
Well, see, my thought is like, with all the hashtags and the Facebook, Twitter, you know, with social media, you can copy off, like you can, like if we did things seasonally, we could copy the fishing season. You can post stuff on your Facebook and hashtag or whatever, and you could just copy stuff off of the local fishermen's pictures they post all the time. You can do that in hunting season. You can, we're an outdoor community. And people come here because we're an outdoor community.
Oh, yeah.
And because they come here because we're outdoor community, they stay in our hotels and they shop in our stores. But to reinstate and unfreeze right now, you haven't said anything but unfreeze our money and give us time till November.
What I've said.
Anything's going to be different.
What I said earlier is that going dark, staying in the advertising mind right now is really important to remind people that we are here. Not necessarily attracting 2 years ago.
So where would you put that at?
Where would I put that at? Well, we've got a lot of different publications where we're currently advertising.
Down from 79 to 10.
I would have
so
to look at what the current plan is.
Certainly take a look at what the schedule is, the one that I proposed.
When is your next meeting, Bernadette? When do you meet again?
The third Tuesday of the month, so whatever that date is.
This month.
Yes, I think it is.
Why don't you take, just a suggestion, why don't you take a look at it and look at what you think you might be spending between now and November and when you expect.
Get to these people that are spending, I don't know, I used to know how to look on my phone and see how many hours a day I'm on here. If I said that on here, I'd probably be embarrassed to know how many hours I'm.
We wouldn't stop social. I mean, we continue the mix.
So right now.
We're continuing that now.
So that's not a lot. That's not flooding.
We can certainly take a look at that.
By any means.
We can certainly take a look at and take a look at, the one difference is looking at it from marketing a destination. Marketing a destination is standard suggests you do from a destination marketing standpoint. We can certainly beef it up. We've got plenty of photos to do that. We're doing all of the outdoor now. I think we're covering all of that.
Until
Digital is you can use everybody else's photos. You don't even have to have your own.
if they'll let you have it. I'm pretty.
Hearing is to unfreeze any of the money. What you would like is a strategy for that part of the money.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a full.
All I was suggesting is just allow the status quo go along for the next couple of months until we can give you a more concrete and
I think
heavily
you probably
reviewed.
have that money budget in the budget enough to carry that far to start with.
I mean, what is the status quo like?
Which is the schedule that was presented with Cole has said is that what's been happening is not that it's broken. I think that we all agree that we can certainly improve anything, right? And we've looked at increasing digital anyway because we know that we need more of that in addition. The schedule that we've been doing has been working. I mean, tourism is increasing and has been increasing over the years. So it's not that it's broken, but can we make it better? Yes. And the point is not to stop, not to go dark with the message to bring people.
If I may, Bernadette, I just wanted to let you know that Chicky has indicated that he wanted to say something.
Oh, thank you.
So he has put his hand up, virtually put his hand up.
So is that what the others should do, Sandra, if they want to speak, is they put their hand up or just kind of come on?
Chicky, you would need to unmute now if you would like to say something.
Chicky, are you having trouble unmuting?
Can you hit like?
I hear something. I thought I heard a click.
Looking at.
You can type in the chat box as well. You can pull that up.
Did anybody else want to speak while we try to go back to him? while we try to figure out how to get Chicky on, is there anybody else who would like to speak?
Gotta unmute.
Unmute your phone.
All this technology.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't handle all this. I'm old school too. I'm a mix of old school and new school, actually. Which is probably that, I would concur that, and Bernadette is right, we all agreed, we're all on the same page that we think that there needs to be a mix of advertising. That is print and social and digital and whatever else even, maybe even other things. Now we're talking about Kent County here, but we also have to remember that we're also marketing individual towns and we're also marketing individual businesses. And so what the Greater Rock Hall Business Association does is they work with the Office of Tourism to, it's a lot less expensive for a small business to be able to advertise in a magazine like What's Up Eastern Shore, for example, or maybe even Chesapeake Bay Magazine, for instance. These are all outdoor magazines that we participate in. We can piggyback on the county, then a small business such as mine, for example, would be able to advertise in these magazines. And what we do is we have a whole section that's just Kent County and all the individual towns that are part of Kent County, so that it's a bigger magnet enough. Have participated in these co-op magazines from time to time over time. And no, you can't definitely say for sure, you can't pinpoint exactly that somebody saw this ad in Chesapeake Bay Magazine and that's while they're here necessarily. But a lot of this stuff was a beautiful ad about Rock Hall, come fish and bike and sail and everything else. And these ads don't have to say, like we said, come here now. I mean, these ads, we just did one, and it didn't say anything about come here or not come here. It was, so, I mean, people are, crawling the walls to get out and to go and do, whether it's today or next month or next fall. And I think the more we can do, to get the word out at some point in the state. Anyway, I guess I think that's all my notes. The other thing I would note with Facebook, I mean, personally, I would never go to Facebook to look for a place to go. Like if I were saying, oh, I want to go to St. Michael's, or let me look on the bed, and I would never go to Facebook to even look for something like that. Chances are I would go on the internet, and I might go to their visitors' website or something like that, or talk to people and ask them, or Google the place. But I just, I think, Facebook we should be doing, but I definitely think that, that's part of it for sure. So, but digital for sure, and maybe there's other options with digital. And these magazines are also digital too, don't forget, and more of them are going digital. So, I'm an advocate of all the above.
Thank you.
So, honestly, yeah, I wouldn't go on Facebook to look for places if I wouldn't either. But if you're just playing on your phone one day where something pops up in a picture of something, you're like, a cool picture. Where is that place located? Oh, it's located in Rock Hall.
As an example of technology, not indicating that we should run everything on Facebook, because I don't believe half of what I see on the thing to start with. But I was making an example of how technology in today's world takes you in a million different directions. We just wanted to see if...
Really 100%, I agree with that.
Yeah. I don't... Everybody, I pretty... Yeah, I
Can you hear me now?
And say everybody on the board
Yes, we can hear you, Chicky.
Okay, perfect. Sorry for the interruption, guys. All right, so I'm just listen to everybody talk, listen to you guys. Earlier, when everybody's giving their background, this, that, and the other, I'm just going to give our background. Our business currently, is located in Kennedyville, Maryland. We have no houses or anybody. It's a destination on a highway that you have to turn off the highway to turn into. With the population in Kennedyville, Maryland is 199 people. That's the last census number that was there. So when it comes to destination marketing, I feel as if that's what we do in Kent County. We had tough steps to fill in when there was this place called, to explain social media to you to some degree, it's like you going to Vonnie's or Ellen's or Beverly or any of those places and talking to your friends over there, and they're filling you in on what's going around the county. That's what people are getting out of there. They're getting information. Again, just like the boys at the table, you have to decipher what you hear from everybody. To the point of social media, like, we have been advertising our business in every newspaper in this area. You can call Miss Carla at Tidewater Trader at Tyler Johnson and their family, and we're one of their largest advertisers. You can call David Fike at APG Media. We're one of their largest advertisers. The issue is news digitally on their phone. And unfortunately, we are becoming more of a slave to technology in our phones. So from the perspective of going in a digital era, that is a must. If we do not adapt to what's coming and going on, I mean, look at everything with this COVID-19, with businesses shut down, takeout, or any of those things, you're not going to be able to survive. And we need to understand that as a county, from our marketing perspective, that's what we need to go after. Why go after digital platform? In my opinion, we need to go after digital platform. We need to, because you could target median audience, like whoever you want to target. I think the goal needs to be bringing in younger families to Kane County to let them come here, love this place, settle here, raise kids here. That helps our schools. I think if we target older people with this mags and newspapers and stuff, that's all we're going to get. We're going to be in the same predicament and the same predictions we are with our schooling system and everything else. As for years in areas where it's going to bring different group of people in this county. And the numbers are going up. And so in tourism, you have to understand, every business does their own advertising. You open King County News, see if, you know, how many people are advertising. It's times. If we are not going to evolve now, it's going to leave us behind, unfortunately. I think COVID just taught us a huge lesson that we need to be ready for their next phase of whatever digital wave that comes. I mean, how many businesses were scrambling? Any comments? I'm here to answer any questions, any three if you have.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, people nowadays, instead of seeing one picture and a long article, people want to see 10 pictures and 5 words. I mean, that's just the way we are. We're becoming like a headline. A lot of people that after they see the 5 pictures and the 5 words, when you want to learn more, you have to go to the website. You have to read to find more information, but you have to attract the people there. Greg, you and I, what we talk about? We were talking about. I've just slipped my tongue.
Bob, all social media is a handshake. You travel all around. Thank God I have the means and the job that I do. I get to travel the world. I've been all over the place. In certain places, you go land on the airport, and there's an ad pops up on your phone that says, hey, visit Utah, wants you to come check out our slopes. Go check out that. To make sure everything is that I've earned goes back into this pot of spending. So we have to be cautious with it. The furthest we can stretch a dollar is going digital. That is the furthest we can stretch a dollar. If you guys are, if that's what we're trying to do, that's the direction that we have to go in.
Mix and is definitely the future. That being said, I think that it's very important for us to come up with a strategy about, well, how do we use digital to our benefit? Marketing, the really here in Kent County, and so many different kinds of people that we're trying to attract. We're trying to attract the 25 to 30-year-olds. We're also trying to attract people who are nearing retirement or are retired and have lots of extra money to spend. We're trying to attract dollars at the end of the day. So it's a really, you can go a little bit further with your dollar on social media. Agreed. But it's still a mix. It's still a mix. And the mix should include print. What I'm sensing is that, not that print shouldn't be in the mix, but
The focus needs to be on, Mr. Fithian, I mean, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking, sir?
What'd he say?
I think it was how old you are.
How old am I? 6.
39.
Listen, it ain't gonna
39.
It ain't gonna sense me lying about it.
Okay, social media, what's stopping anybody that's in their 40s, 50s, 30s, and 20s to do the same?
Guess that leaves out people in the 70s.
Let me just say where I'm coming from with this advertising. As I said in the beginning, I think advertising in Kent County is in how to get that message out. And that's what I'm hoping that you all, Bernadette and her board, are the experts that we're relying on. So I think this is a great discussion. I'll be very interested in hearing what you have to say in November when you come back in. And I'm sure there's to support tourism as we always have. We just, our only thing was to get this discussion going to make sure we're going in the right direction. It's just as simple as that. It's not that we're trying to unfund anything. We want you all to be satisfied with it. I live, and I'm going to continue to support it. I just want my board and my director to all be on the same page, working for the good of tourism. That's it with me.
Absolutely.
And Commissioner Fithian, you have been an incredible support for tourism. And I mean, you guys are newer, but I'm just for tourism. And I mean, you guys are newer, but I'm just saying from all the years that you have been working with tourism, you have been.
I think this has been a great discussion. We haven't done much of this, obviously, because of the virus, and probably we need to have more interaction and hear from the board. You're the ones we depend on for our guidance, and I can't wait to hear back from you in November.
Very good.
That's me. I mean, I'm sure my colleagues are.
If you have something very specific that there's not funding there for, and the anti-tourism, we want it to be better and take it to the next level.
Right. I hear that, and I'm in total agreement with you. I want to take it next level, too. My concern is that if we go dark for a few months,
I don't think we need to do that.
Then bring us something specific.
We want to do this, but we don't have enough money to do this, and we'll look at it.
We have our ad budget. It's just been frozen.
Yeah, but isn't it for a year? I mean, am I mistaken that, our physical year just started last week, 1st of July.
The ad money is budgeted, it's just been frozen. The ad budget's been frozen. So I think that's what we're saying is.
So you don't have any money to spend in the next 3 months. We froze it all?
All advertising and advertising-related line items were frozen until a plan was presented.
Right. Well, and I think that.
And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I wasn't under the impression, and maybe it slipped me, and things do all the time. So, but I know we took some money away, but you were still left with some money.
Right.
But you're saying we froze that? Well, I would have no problem in saying that you can. This is me. I would unfreeze what money you were budgeted. Now, if you're looking for the extra money after November, we'll take a look at that. I mean, I think they got a point that I didn't realize that they weren't allowed to. We took $100,000 away and we gave 50 of it back.
Yeah.
Well, it's all but 26,000. Reduce the ad budget by 26,000.
So how much money is there? You're telling me there's no money there to spend, though?
No, I'm saying
There's money there, but they're saying we froze.
Right. Well, that's what we're saying. I mean, is it unrealistic to ask to give us a plan? Not by November,
right.
but if you have some plan, if you don't have any plan that you need this money before November, then there's no reason to unfreeze it. But it sounds like you have a plan between now and November. So how much do you need, or what is your plan between now and November? I mean, and I don't want to put you on the spot right here. And that's what in 2 weeks, or you meet again, what, July the 21st? I don't know when our next meeting would be then.
So what I would say is this, that there, I know ads that will be published in the fall, September, October, November. Those ads will be, right now, currently, if we don't have any money to spend on those ads, we're going to be dark for the fall, right?
So how much money are you talking?
We'll have to look back at the budget and see.
I would need to look back as well. I mean, I've been months. So, yeah, I mean, it's there. It's just we don't have it with us at the table.
But isn't that what we need to know?
Yeah, so get on the agenda in 2 weeks, give us a couple specifics, it'll be quick, and say this money will tie us until we give you the full plan in November.
So what?
And we have something to look at.
Well, what do you mean maybe?
They're now. The deadlines are now. I'm getting.
I can't believe that whoever they are, if you say, hey, I'm going to spend X number of dollars with you, they're not going to take it.
People are.
There's usually some flexibility in deadlines.
There is with some. With some, there are.
And what you get at is what, let's see a plan. And
Right, and I think what we were saying is instead of just coming up with something very quick and
Slapdash.
slapped together, is to say the board needs till November to really do a thorough job to get.
Let me see if I.
Now and then.
I think if you remember when we talked about the tourism budget, we wanted to get this very conversation going, and we took $100,000 away from the budget.
then we put some back.
50 back. But what they're saying is.
Except for 24,000, that was a contract called Reconnect.
Okay.
So it's all of it's
Need
been
enough to
reinstated.
continue to
Could the board
forward.
Yeah, November's 5 months from now.
Could the board do like an interim plan, something just temporarily, so what you need to get you through the next few
I
months?
think what they're saying is,
Weeks.
But I would recommend an interim plan, that could be presented and approved, and then in the meantime, that the plan, the marketing plan, go through its process and come in front of you at a later time. And we do have to remember that it is still a state of
Not
emergency.
a temporary plan either. You're saying give us the money back.
Saying use the plan that is in place now.
Right.
Right.
to get started.
But the plan that was in place now, according to these numbers, would be 5/12 of $183,000 for the year. That's why I said 5/12 of that.
Right, and what Bernadette's saying is that's the entire operating budget, not just the advertising dollars. So, and if there's a plan in place that we were going to move forward with, I would just recommend that, I mean, you come.
I don't think that, I don't know what publication this is, that if you, next week, I think there's going to be time. Is that?
For much of it, yeah.
So let's, if that's satisfactory with you all, and I mean, we don't want to waste your time either, but I just feel, I personally, I don't have any idea what you're doing with it.
I think the board is saying, you know, every year we have an ad plan. And I think the board is saying that they trust the ad plan that we've been using, and that is proposed for now because we've seen an increase in tourism. You know, in other words, it's not.
Well, I'm not saying we don't trust what we're doing now either, but we're trying to get beyond, let's, if we can increase it better, which is what our goal is to improve. Just because it's not broken doesn't mean we can't maybe do better.
That's right.
I don't think we're saying a whole November plan.
A November plan.
As we do, is go back and look at what our plan currently is and show you guys, look, these are the deadlines that we have for publications that we know are sure winners, that we really need money to get into those publications to do some print advertising for. I mean, that should be simple enough to do.
Yeah, because I don't want you, and I really didn't realize that unless we had this meeting and unfroze these funds, that we were going to be dark till November or whatever. But obviously, we want to continue with some of it. Now, obviously, I'm in this for. I don't. Listen. We just can't shut things off July 1 and never have Kent County in the headlines anymore until November. We just can't do that.
That's what I'm trying to say, exactly.
So we gotta.
Well, it's not. I don't think any of us want that either.
Right.
He's putting Facebook on every 2 to 3 days.
About being dark in the print world.
Okay.
I mean, social media can continue.
And in the digital world, because I think it was Suzanne had mentioned, most of our print advertising have digital components to them.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
everybody does now. So not only on their websites, in their e-newsletters, on the
And with just a little of what you need to move forward until.
Get us through to November, yeah.
I mean, if your deadlines are such that you on the agenda for next week. I mean, we're willing to.
It might be as simple as what plan you've got. What happens?
Come back. Do you have any metrics or analytics to show us these? I'm sure these magazines are advertising and show what group they're reaching and what the responses are to it, don't they?
Commissioner Jacob, that's why we need the time. I have all of that. It's a lot of material to pull together. But to pull it all together is going to take a little bit of time. It's not something that you just.
Well, let me ask this then. How much money would you need released to get you to November?
I think that's only what we need to go back and bring to you next week.
Let them tell us that later.
Yeah, I mean.
The first half of the fiscal, the second half of the fiscal, et cetera. So I have all of that. So it's a matter
Just get it to us quick and let us take a look at it.
Yep. Yeah. That sound feasible to?
I think it's great.
I mean, we're not trying to be difficult. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I want to say one more thing in this. I'm sitting here watching you guys and working from my home with electricity and internet. We're in technology age. When you got electricity and internet, you're never dark.
You're never what?
Dark. And that's what we're going to try.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I want to say one more thing. I mean, listen, I am part of this board. Some of these, like the print ads and stuff, yes, it's coming off as a board because it's jointly set as a board, but I'm going to be vocal here because I came here to make a difference in my county. I'm a product of Kent County. The pinnacle of my education is a Kent County High School diploma. Time into this, and I really think we need to be aggressive with what we're doing. I think we have to change. We need to take accountability of what other businesses are doing to generate sales. That's what helps those numbers for tourism go up. If Great Oak Marina is doing well, if Tolchester, if the Bramble family are doing well, if Mr. Bronner, we're touting a wrong number here. I think we need to look at what other people are doing and kind of, either replicate or make it better.
I think that's right.
And I'm not going to put my
Chicky,
name
I think
on
those
the
are all
line.
really great ideas that we can,
Yes.
And how to be
Absolutely,
strategic.
but time is money, guys. More than money, time is money. We got to make sure we can get this going fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now ready.
Environmental operations.
Something's dripping.
In the air conditioner?
Ceiling or? Yeah.
How about that in Misty? I like that much. It's like dripping about.
See the water there out of that vent.
And I bet it's coming out of that hole up there in the ceiling. It's not coming through that tile where you see a stain.
Got our new logos and stuff.
All right, thank you.
Hey.
You gotta get face masks with the logo on them.
I don't want to have them that long.
Yeah.
We should have
Says you need pads for the benches out there.
It's like waiting for the principal's office. All right, gentlemen.
Well, in all honesty, we could probably move a couple of these chairs out.
That's fine.
That's what I, noted. Thank you.
The old deacon's bench.
I realize I've been sitting on the bench all evening. I'm going to sit here.
You made Tom think about it.
The department's proposing to centralize the grinding of yard waste at the Nicholson Drop-Off Center and discontinue grinding of yard waste at remote sites. Currently, that's Rock Hall and Chestertown. This is to better manage our recycling operations. One of the things we found is the current system for accept residents, a county resident has to transport their yard waste to the Nicholson Drop-Off Center, pay the coupon charge, and then some municipalities will collect yard waste at no additional costs, and other municipalities have a yard waste stockpile on town property, but only allow town residents to drop off their yard waste for free. In support of that proposal, we've noted that the current staffing at the Nicholson Drop-Off Center would be able to monitor the acceptance of yard waste deliveries and county residents because it's staffed so that folks, we know what's coming in and we're not getting material that shouldn't be ground up. The Nicholson Drop-Off Center is a more suitable location for providing stormwater erosion sediment control of yard waste and mulch storage. The towns are not required to have a permit for having a yard waste facility as a government. The thing is, though, there are other regulations out there that need to be complied with. And I get a little nervous in terms of we performing county operations on other people's property, managing stormwater runoff and erosion sediment control as part of the landfill operation. We feel it's a better place for managing this kind of yard waste. Also, one of the things we look at is reduce MES grinder equipment mobilization costs are anticipated to be reduced. Reduction, the mulch would end up being removed from Nicholson. Actually, we do at all the facilities, but it would be available for municipal use at no cost. Currently, Chestertown and Rock Hall manage their own mulch piles, but we'd be able to maintain that for them and provide that to them. All residents and contractors, one of the things we could do for your consideration in this discussion of this item is potentially waive the tipping fee if the municipality wants to deliver the waste to the Nicholson facility to make it more convenient for that transfer of the operations. So for the last, I guess, 2 years, it's been more standardized. Marty and I had some discussions with MES about how that fee was done, and they settled on we get $32,000 per year. That's it. And we provided you some data on what our costs are there. One of the things, too, that we found through the charge, so we got more involved in that. I think that's helped save us some money in terms of cutting some of the costs instead of the estimating. We're figuring out how they do that. So we see a lot of advantages in doing that, hopefully trying to get that $32,000 to stretch a little bit more.
Honestly, I've been sitting in this job for a good while, but I never used the dump much for years because I always had my own dumpster. I never had a reason to go to. But I went out there about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got to tell you, it's nice to say it might sound funny. You where to put the stuff, you back up. You where to put the stuff, you back up, put it in them containers. I just, little shout out that I think it's a very nicely run.
Yeah, Marty does a really good job with that.
Very impressed. I don't go there on a regular basis, but I went there that day and I actually had 3 or 4 different types of items, so I had to go here and there. But
so that's why it's an ideal place to be able to kind of center this kind of thing and doing that, and having somebody there that's checking the stuff that's coming in instead of getting, what you don't want is pallets and stuff like that mixed in with. We've seen some of that.
You don't have somebody there watching what comes in. You get all kinds of stuff that does that.
I was sitting here reading through all these dates and everything. So you want to have Chestertown, because Millington and Galena don't do their own thing.
Right.
Rock Hall and Chestertown does.
Yes.
So what you want to do is
fees that they have. Rock Hall doesn't provide the service. They just had a site where people could go and then on their property and put stuff there. They've had problems in the past in terms of monitoring that.
now. MR, MRRP programs.
To support tub grinding operations. MES, who runs the MERP program, also runs the tub grinding operations. So it offsets some of that cost.
The recycling program is given to, I mean, that's
program, because recycling doesn't pay for
the thing
itself.
we're talking about moving back to Nicholson is
Just the yard waste.
is the brush pile, because the places where they have it now there's no attendant. You never know what you're going to get.
Well, Chestertown basically picks up their own, so basically the people that pick it up.
But they could take it to Nicholson,
Instead.
and we wouldn't charge them for that.
They, meaning the town, could, if you want to.
So has this been vetted through the towns, or?
No, this is a proposal that we're bringing to you.
Well, really, the only two towns it's affecting is Rock Hall.
It's a dump. So that would be taking away something from the residents of Rock Hall.
Towns
I don't know,
could-
I have to,
The towns could continue to have their yard waste site.
but they would just,
wouldn't have to pay.
But for Chestertown, I don't see where, I mean, they're picking it up. What's the difference between taking it to Nicholson?
Because each town does it slightly differently. So I know in the past budget cycles, it's been discussed with Marty, making it a uniform policy for the municipalities.
for the last couple of years, Rock Hall's a lot more money than Chestertown, it looks like.
The benefit we provide,
The county people who live right around the town, they can't dump there anymore. So tell the county people, you can't use this, but
it's free.
but we
in the
want you
town
to
of
pay
Rock Hall.
for it. But we want you to pay for the grinding.
Those of us that live in the county use a dump ticket to take your.
You know, brush to Nicholson, are they paying a chipping fee?
If the town is delivering it, that's part of the discussion. If that, one of the things we talked about was not charging them for that, so they don't have that charge associated.
is that correct, Mike? There's no
Yeah.
charge to the municipality.
Let people take it there and dump it in a pile.
Town
Now, Chestertown may, I'm talking about Rock Hall.
says they call the town office to arrange a pickup, which is free of charge.
Yes.
And I'm assuming.
If it's large, the way, and I can tell you, I live in Chestertown. If you have a few branches, or how much it costs, usually $20, pay the town, then they come pick it up.
So the town charges each resident $20 to $40 to pick stuff up and haul it away.
If it's a few sticks or branches, they don't charge anything, but let's say you have a whole bunch of branches in the tree, you have a lot out in front doing a lot of trimming. Yeah. Yeah.
So then, the town of Chestertown keeps that money that because they use it to pay for their hauling to the site, and then the county pays to have it ground.
That's my guess, because there's a cost to the town to send a truck out there.
So that's what that charge is.
The pickup charge.
Pickup truck of branches and stuff, I'm taking the dump, I'm paying a tipping fee.
Pay a ticket.
Is that right?
One ticket.
Coupon.
Pay the tipping fee.
In essence, people live in Betterton and Millington and Galena, since they do pay county taxes also, they're basically
You
subsidizing.
have to bring it to Nicholson.
They're subsidizing that too.
The sites, especially the one in Rock Hall, it's not monitored by anybody. And from working down there, I can tell you, we were always pulling boards with nails and fence posts and things that weren't supposed to be in there. But when you don't watch it, you get all kinds of stuff where.
Put that behind a
Water plant, that's the entrance right there, is the contractors. Word gets out. And, you know,
opening contractors dump because contractors aren't allowed to use Nicholson.
no, they can use it. It's,
But they have to pay at Nicholson.
How much? Like if I thought contractors had to have their own.
Some cement block. That's all, and then the recycling.
Okay.
It is basically because there's no other area for them to go, so they would have to go over. It's a small contractor, alcohol.
Say they're placing shingles on their roof, they cannot take it to Nicholson.
Cannot, but
An individual could.
individual can.
So the secret there is put it on your truck, not the contractor's truck.
Back up again.
Well, I was just asking because My son just, I don't know what he did with the stuff. Maybe I don't want to ask. I probably don't. So I guess the motion, I mean, what you're asking for, but actually, you're also
Them dump it for free.
Because right now, they're used to having it going to the one site. And there's advantages to us to have it centralized from a cost savings point.
Right.
Transition-wise, I think that would be fair to do. The timing of this is, and everything would go.
Everything's going to be at Nicholson.
Right, so we get that. So Marty found out today that their grinder unit could be in around the 20th of July. So that's why we bring it.
Meanwhile, the citizens, or, if you don't live in Chestertown or Rock Hall, you're going to pay to take it there. You're going to coupon.
Right.
Glenn, all them people have to come to Nicholson with tree branches.
Well, not according to this. They're
Well, Glenn had to pay somebody to do it.
Lean is just small. Like Tom was talking about it. It's just a small barrel of yard waste. The waste hauler picks it up. If it's a truckload of yard waste.
Well, they're saying yard waste collected on the same day as trash collection is likely land.
So it ends up in the landfill as opposed to going to a yard waste processing.
A lot of towns, when they do their contract garbage pickup, contract where the company that does the garbage pickup, garbage, recycling, and yard waste. You're going to have one container for recycling, one container for garbage, and another for yard waste. I'm not sure what those haulers do with the yard waste, but they all go with the same hauler. Because the small towns don't have an in-house pickup, like Chestertown will have somebody, I think, in-house contract that way. I don't know, I got a bunch of towns, it's hard to keep track, but does the yard waste in addition to doing garbage and recycling.
Well, I guess, and this would just be another service that we're giving to town Chestertown.
And it has been, though. I mean, except we've actually delivered the.
Which we don't give anything there, Tom, but that was where I was going.
But
I wasn't going to mention that word.
in the short term, if Rockwell does away with their stuff that people are used to doing, I see all this stuff being dumped on Lover's Lane. Lover's Lane up there, Mike.
Well, I tell you, I mean, and what I'm saying is in the woods on some farm somewhere, here, there. I mean, and some of it's firewood. I mean, if you have a storm and a big tree goes down, well, it shouldn't really go for mulch. It should go for firewood. If somebody wants it, then they're taking it there. Which it's not a cost to the county. It's not like it's something that's going to be there 50 years from now. So I don't think that's an issue.
If you look at the towns, they have smaller lots. Most of the lot is manicured. They don't have a place really for a lot of debris so out there, and it just Mother Nature. So I guess we're trying to pattern. Betterton delivers it. We don't charge Betterton for taking theirs in. We do the same for Chestertown and Rock Hall. Glean and Millington, obviously, if they do develop a program that they want to do it, then they could do the same thing.
Do you even want to charge a coupon to someone to take yard waste if they just live in the county?
I think you want to charge something so that to try to avoid some abuse of it, because
Wait, what now?
struggling in terms of making sure it's just Kent County residents or contract
All the time on they're heading towards Nicholson and they've got it piled up with.
I personally wouldn't be against letting the thing I think is important, that we have a central location where everybody's treated the same, and whether you charge them or whether you let them dump it for free, I don't care.
Yeah.
That way I don't care. But
But
I do know from the grinder, he would like to have a central location where somebody's watching it, so he don't get a crowbar run through that $1 million piece of machinery.
Yep.
Are we under a time crunch here? Like, we have to have this decision because we're going.
The decision we can make tonight.
I'd rather hear. We have the opportunity to hear from the towns and see if we can make all 5 towns equal, and then decide whether we're going to charge the county.
Well, Well, if we let that,
Our two biggest towns, I don't know if that's.
yeah, but if we let them all dump,
To the other three towns?
Contractors is another situation where they're bringing roll-offs.
no, we're not taking roll-offs. And I don't want to mention any tree service company. No, we're not. They're driving in there with Hulu's tree service, and he has a whole truckload of stuff.
They're able to bring in yard waste.
Well, we charge them because they have charged.
It's usually a coupon if it's a pickup trailer load. Larger than a pickup, it's 2
Yeah, I mean, it's not much.
Keep in mind, we do pay for, we're not collecting enough money. The general fund is still subsidizing this program.
We tried to get an idea a little bit, Marty, tried to get some of his people to get an idea of how much money was coming in from coupons for yard waste. Sometimes it's difficult because sometimes they've got a mix in there and that kind of thing, so.
We really don't have. No, I don't know. I wouldn't take the contractors, but I'm almost, if we're going to take Chestertown, we're going to take Rock Hall and the citizens and all the municipalities. I mean, I'm just brainstorming here.
Well, basically, we're treating Rock Hall and Chestertown like the county, like we treat the other towns like the county. That's the way it is currently.
But the county's paying, they're not paying.
Right. So I would say that there's two parts of what this discussion is happening right now, and maybe we need to separate the two. So the first part, you're going to continue to charge county residents the coupon to take their yard waste to the dump. So.
Okay, well, we have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
Well, let me.
If he doesn't have a second, then the motion dies.
Because I ain't sure what the motion was. It's been so long. You either, and we have one place to take it. I mean, if the people in one end of the county can drive to Nicholson, so can the people from the other end. You have one central location where it's monitored. We make sure that the right stuff is thrown away, that everybody can throw yard waste away for free. That would be, I'll put that in my motion.
That's the first part we're looking at, is relocate, having grinding operations at Nicholson exclusively.
So are you wanting two motions?
Well, yeah, I want you to do it that way from the discussion, get that one done.
Motion that we're going to, saying he wants that in a different motion.
Well, it's up to you. You guys decide what motion you want. I think I was following what Shelley's lead was, since there seemed to be more discussion about the charging part of it.
I don't care if we want to put it all in one motion. I mean, we can.
I would just specify about the contractors. What's the intention?
They come from Queen Anne's because there'd be brush from wherever to Nicholson. There already is sometimes, but we can. I think you could. The staff out there a lot of times knows who's Kent County and who isn't Kent County, and always ask for a driver's license. Can I see your driver's license?
Marty.
Right now, obviously, because of COVID, we're not accepting license or anything, and we haven't done that in the past. And that's something that we can do, yes. Take a license, make sure that they're a Kent County resident. And I think that's the direction that we're heading in.
Yeah. With brush, you mean, or?
Brush, bubble, pretty much anything. Now, the only other aspect to the contractors would be, which is possible at times, to identify a contractor versus a resident. They don't always have a sign on the side of the truck. So that small guy that's.
Yard waste, 9 times out of 10, he's not a homeowner.
But it's not so much how big the load is in that day. It's coming. Homeowner may only come in once a month, depending on the storm, but a contractor's going to be coming in multiple times. It is difficult for the attendants.
And some of them are part-time, so they do rotate on and off.
The only other thought I had was maybe the size of it. If it's a larger than a pickup truck load or a trailer vehicle, then there must be a charge.
Well, that would do it.
That would work.
Yeah, I'm just something we're giving to the citizens that.
And it would be fair.
Yeah.
Right now, there's situations where people can live next door to one another. And one, if he's in the town limits, he can go dump his for free, And the guy, if he lives right next door and is in the county, he's gonna have to travel and pay to.
And yard waste was free at Nicholson. Anything recyclable, which yard waste, we find it in the mulch and it's reused. Prior to 2010, it was at no cost to the home.
Well, would it make sense to do that? And like you say, if it's larger than a pickup load or being abused, we can always go back to everyone
Change it.
giving a coupon.
I think once COVID-19, we'll start asking for driver's license, and maybe we'll even make some flyers up to start warning some of the folks that may not be taking
Right.
out
Okay. Well, I think we have a motion to that. We don't have a second to it.
Well, just so we can have a vote, I'll second it. I mean, I don't agree with not seconding something because I have a different opinion. Like, I completely agree with Ronnie having it being fair and not fair. I completely agree with this not being fair.
What don't you agree with?
I don't think we should cut off our two major towns without having a conversation with them first.
We're not cutting them off.
Well, we're forcing, we're,
Make it,
we don't have, but we haven't,
we're gonna make it free for them. All they gotta do is haul it there, right? Which they're hauling it somewhere now.
so Chester,
It sounds like all the way to Nicholson.
wait a minute, I know it's not that far. And the people from Chestertown are still paying the hauling fees.
But that's a town
That's
policy.
a town. That's between the,
But then people in Rock Hall would have to pick up the fees for hauling it to Nichols if they wanted to.
I think what we pay
But if
for,
not-
what we're paying for is put your yard waste out in front of the house and a town truck comes by and picks it up.
right.
My guess is, I'm assuming that what I'm paying for as a town resident, when I pay my $25 or $30 or $40, is the cost of that truck from the town to come up there and to take it from my,
Right. I mean, you're paying 42 cents, I think, in property taxes for the town.
Right.
And if they need another $20 to pick up your yard waste, that's their choice.
I look at it is, I would rather pay them $20 to pick it up than me having to haul it myself.
Okay. Well, then we're all happy. No more questions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
So that was to locate the facilities at Nicholson.
What are you asking now?
That is to grind up what's out there, and then there will be a central.
Coupons required.
Charge, okay, no charge for yard waste.
Right.
The town's responsible for getting it to Nicholson.
Right. Town has,
Picking it up and taking it to Nicholson.
That's the town's decision.
right. Or the citizen in Chesterton.
Since the town don't have to bring it, anybody can come in. If you live in the town, you want to bring a truckload out there, it's
Tom, if you want to save your,
the same. And number two, there's somebody watching you dump it over to make sure, and believe me, that causes a problem. That machine that does that grinding, it's about a $500,000 machine. And the wrong stuff goes through it. It's down for days.
Are we, when we talk about trailer, typically they have those single axle ones with the, the grid on them or the screen.
Yeah.
Would that be what we're talking about as opposed to?
yeah, I mean,
Anything bigger than a pickup.
well, they could have dual wheels. I mean,
I'm just trying to
within process and learning here, as you monitor this, if you see it's being abused or you don't think it's working, then let us know and we can change it. It's not a,
When's this effective date? Effective what date?
Well, basically, we'll get a follow-up with the town's effective date for not charging.
Give us some time to advertise.
Yeah,
Maybe September 1st, something. That'll be after the grinding process, because it could be to the middle of August before.
all right.